I've seen a lot of folks at the range making the same boneheaded mistakes that'll either wreck their gun or get somebody hurt. So today, I'm breaking down the 10 gun habits you gotta quit doing right now if you actually care about shooting better, safer, and not looking like a total goof in front of everyone. What's up? This is Luke in line 4-5. Today, I'm cutting the BS and talking about the dumb gun mistakes I see way too often, from bad range habits to straight-up safety fails that could get you kicked off the line or worse. Before we dive in, do me a solid. Smash that subscribe, tap the bell, hit all the dang buttons down there. You don't gotta, but it keeps this train rolling and lets me crank out more of this wild gun talk for y'all. Alright, enough of that. Let's get back to it. Treating every gun like it's not loaded. First up, the golden rule a lot of people somehow forget. Treat every gun like it's loaded. I don't care if you just cleared it 5 seconds ago or watched your buddy do it himself, that barrel stays pointed in a safe direction every damn time. I've seen dudes pick up a gun, rack it, laugh, and start waving it around like a toy. That's how people end up on the evening news. The NRA, the Marine Corps, and literally every range safety manual on Earth drill this into you for a reason. You know, complacency kills. Even unloaded guns have taken lives because somebody thought they knew better. It's called a negligent discharge, not an accident, because it happens when folks stop following basic firearm discipline. You keep your muzzle pointed away from people, keep your finger off the trigger, and treat that thing like it's hot until you've personally verified it's clear. And even then, act like it still is. The best shooters I've trained with, from cops to old school hunters, all have the same mindset. Safety isn't optional. It's a habit that never turns off. You respect that rule, and everything else about shooting starts to fall into place. Finger on the trigger when you shouldn't be. Next mistake that grinds my gears every single time. You know, those guys who put their fingers on the trigger when you're not ready to shoot. I swear, this one right here separates the safe shooters from the walking accidents. I've seen people at the range load up, finger already sitting on the trigger while they're still turning around or chatting. That's how you end up with a hole in the ceiling, or worse, someone's leg. The rule's simple. Your trigger finger should be straight and off that trigger until your sights are on target and you've made the decision to fire. This isn't just my opinion either. It's literally a core part of the NRA's and the US Army's safety protocol. When you keep that finger outside the trigger guard, you eliminate the #1 cause of negligent discharges. Even if your gun's on safe, that's not a green light to get sloppy. Mechanical safeties fail, but your brain doesn't if you use it. And let's be honest, most folks who accidentally fired their weapon didn't have an accident. They had their finger where it shouldn't have been. If you ever get trained by real professionals, like guys from SIG Academy or Gunsight, they'll drill that trigger discipline into you until it's muscle memory. You get this right, you instantly look like you know what you're doing. You look confident, in control, and safe to be around. Screw it up, and nobody wants to stand within 10 feet of you. Buying cheap ammo and blaming the gun. Here's a sneaky one that bites a lot of new shooters, and that's them buying the cheapest ammo you can find and then blaming the gun when it jams. I've seen it 100 times. Somebody picks up bulk reloads or off-brand steel case stuff, and when it stovepipes or misfires, they start bad-mouthing their Glock or AR. Nah man, that's not the gun's fault. Cheap ammo often uses inconsistent powder loads, poor quality primers, or soft brass, and that leads to feeding issues and weak cycling. Federal, Winchester, and Hornady spend millions testing their ammo for pressure and consistency, while some no-name import brand just cranks them out by the pallet. A lot of those sketchy reloads can even cause long-term wear. Dirty powder leaves carbon and unburnt residue that gums up your extractor or firing pin. In extreme cases, an overcharged round can cause a kaboom that cracks your slide or barrel. I'm not saying you gotta buy match-grade ammo for plinking, but you should know where your ammo's coming from. Stick with reputable stuff, clean your gun regularly, and keep a close eye on how each box performs. If you wouldn't trust it to protect your life, don't feed it to your gun. Ignoring proper grip and stance. Now this one's a biggie. I can't tell you how many people I've seen fight their gun because they're holding it like a garden hose. You'll see it at every range: bent wrists, weak thumbs, elbows flapping, and the muzzle jumping all over the place. Then they blame the sights or the recoil spring when their groups look like a shotgun blast. The truth is, your grip and stance are the foundation of accurate shooting. Even the best optics or trigger job won't save you if you don't control that recoil right. The right grip means getting both hands as high and tight on the frame as you can, locking in your wrists, and driving forward through the recoil. Your stance should be balanced. Feet shoulder-width apart, weight slightly forward, and your shoulders rolled in. The FBI, USPSA, and every serious defensive pistol course teach this because it lets you absorb recoil and reset faster for follow-up shots. If you're leaning back like you're afraid of your own gun, you're gonna shoot low and slow. Here's the thing. The better your grip and stance, the safer and faster you shoot. The gun becomes an extension of your body instead of something you're trying to control. Watch any pro like Jerry Mikulek or JJ Rakaza, and you'll see it. They're not fighting the gun, they're running it smoothly and controlled. That's the goal. Neglecting regular cleaning and maintenance. Let's talk about the lazy man's mistake. I don't care if you've got a Glock, a Beretta, or some fancy SIG. Every single firearm needs cleaning after it's been run hard. Gunpowder residue, carbon, and even your own sweat can mess with reliability if you let it sit. I've seen guys brag about how their AR hasn't been cleaned in months, then act surprised when it starts short-stroking or double feeding. That's not some badge of toughness. That's just asking for a failure when it matters most. Most gun manufacturers, like Glock and Ruger, recommend at least a basic field strip and clean after every range trip. You don't need to break it down to the pins every time, but you should wipe off the carbon, hit the bore with a brush, and lightly oil the moving parts. If you're running suppressed or using cheap ammo, double that cleaning schedule. Suppressors and dirty powder foul up way faster. A small bit of maintenance saves you a lot of money and headache down the line. The military's whole saying, "A clean gun is a happy gun," exists for a reason. A dirty chamber can cause pressure issues or light strikes, and grime around your extractor or feed ramp can stop a semi-auto cold. So yeah, treat cleaning like part of shooting, not a chore. Your gun'll thank you with reliability every single time you pull that trigger. Dry firing without checking your backdrop. Dry firing is one of the best ways to get better, but some folks turn it into a hazard because they don't check what's behind their target. I've seen people rack their slide, clear the mag, and then snap that trigger in their living room, right toward a wall that leads straight to their neighbor's kitchen. That's how tragedies happen. But the rule is quite simple. Before you dry fire, you clear the gun, double-check it, and then aim at something that can safely stop a bullet just in case you mess up. Even top-tier trainers like Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch and the NRA safety program say dry firing's amazing for trigger control and muscle memory, but it's gotta be done smart. A backstop like a stack of books, a bucket of sand, or even a dedicated bullet trap works. And never dry fire when you're distracted, tired, or drinking. I've heard way too many "I thought it was empty" stories that ended badly. Dry fire practice builds skills, but carelessness ruins lives. The best shooters aren't just fast and accurate, they're disciplined. Always treat that click like it could go bang, because one day it just might. Zeroing once and forgetting about it. Some folks zero their optics once and think they're set for life. Nah, it doesn't work like that. Your zero can shift for all kinds of reasons. Temperature changes, switching ammo brands, even just bumping your rifle around in your truck or safe. I've seen guys brag about pinpoint accuracy from last summer, then go to the range in winter and can't hit center mass to save their lives. Ammo ballistics change with weather, and glass mounts can loosen up over time. If you don't recheck your zero every few months or after a good knock, you're gambling with your accuracy. Let's keep it real. Every serious shooter, whether military, hunter, or competition guy, confirms zero regularly. The U.S. Army Marksmanship Manual even says to verify after environmental or handling changes. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being consistent. I personally confirm my zero every time I change ammo or travel somewhere new to shoot. Different bullet weights and powder loads can change your point of impact, sometimes by inches. You don't need a fancy bench rest setup either. A solid bag, a good 25 or 50-yard range, and a slow, deliberate 3-shot group will tell you everything. Record your adjustments and lock your turrets once they're right. The more consistent you are with checking your zero, the fewer "my optics are off" excuses you'll ever have to make. Treating range time like a flex instead of training. This one gets me fired up. I watch dudes line up targets for the gram, blast off 10 rounds at some random torso silhouette, and call it a day. That's not training. Training is purposeful. You pick one skill, break it down, and measure progress. Hit a drill for accuracy, do a controlled pairs drill for recoil management, and run a failure drill for stoppage response. Do that consistently, and your skill actually improves instead of just your clapback photos. If you want real gains, track metrics. Use a shot timer and aim for consistent splits. Record your groups and log them. Work on slow, precise shots to build a steady sight picture, then compress speed without sacrificing hits. Run movement drills, reload transitions, and failure drills until rolling your reloads and clearing jams is normal muscle memory. Follow curricula from reputable instructors and orgs. USPSA, SIG Academy, and established defensive courses all prioritize measurable progression over flexing. Don't forget live fire blended with dry fire practice. That combo is where competence lives. And for God's sake, show up with a plan. Don't wander the line like you're shopping for merch. Warm up, run the drill sets you wrote down, note what sucked, and leave having fixed one thing. Train like your life depends on it, because someday it might. If you swap clout for competence, people at the range will actually respect you, and you'll be way safer and way more useful when it counts. Mixing random parts without understanding compatibility. This one's for the "I saw it on YouTube, so it must fit" crowd. Mixing random gun parts without understanding compatibility. I've watched people slap together AR builds with parts from 5 different brands and then wonder why it won't cycle right. They'll toss in a bargain bolt carrier group, an out-of-spec buffer spring, or a mismatched gas block, and now the thing's jamming like crazy. The AR platform's modular, yeah, but that doesn't mean every part plays nice with every other. Even small differences in gas length, buffer weight, or chamber spec can throw your whole setup out of tune. Companies like Aero Precision, BCM, and Daniel Defense all build parts within certain tolerances, but those tolerances can stack when you mix brands. It's called tolerance stacking, and it's why a rifle that should work sometimes just doesn't. The same goes for handguns. Aftermarket slides, triggers, and recoil springs might sound great until you realize they're changing timing and reliability. If you're gonna build, research each part like your life depends on it. Use forums, spec sheets, and proven builder guides. When in doubt, run factory-tested configurations or kits designed to work together. You can still customize, just keep it smart. A little too much DIY ego, and you'll end up diagnosing malfunctions instead of shooting. Building is fun, but doing it wrong turns your gun into an expensive paperweight. Don't guess with something that goes bang. Thinking you'll rise to the occasion instead of training for it. This one's the big mindset killer. Thinking you'll magically perform under pressure instead of training to perform under pressure. I've seen folks say they'll figure it out if the lights go off or the adrenaline hits, and then freeze or make rookie mistakes when stress hits. Muscle memory doesn't come from hope. It comes from repetition, from practicing scenarios so your body knows what to do before your brain gets noisy. If you only ever shoot slow, calm, perfect reps, you won't know how you'll react when things get chaotic. Training has to be deliberate, messy, and include stress inoculation so your hands and eyes can keep working when your heart rate spikes. There's a reason police and military units train with timed stress drills, force on force, and scenario-based practice. Stress narrows perception, screws with fine motor skills, and forces people back to their worst habits, unless those habits were trained under pressure. So stop treating the range like a hobby and start treating it like a job. Do high-stress drills, mix live fire with coached dry fire, use physical reps that raise your heart rate, and rehearse your failure responses until they're automatic. Train like it matters, because if you ever need that skill, there won't be time to learn it. No cap. Preparation is the only thing that keeps panic from making decisions for you.